From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. 26 hours from now, the year of 2020 will come to a close. It has felt like possibly the longest year ever, and most will undoubtedly be happy to see it in the rearview mirror. But while we celebrate the start of the new year, local health officials hope holiday gatherings won't contribute to more COVID-19 cases. Q2's Mitch Legge joins us now with more.
I think it's safe to say that the Billings community is ready to be done with 2020 and ring in the new year. However, when it comes to COVID-19, Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton said on Wednesday he hopes the community doesn't slide backwards when it comes to the total number of cases. The month of December was better for the Yellowstone County case counts. Felton said the peak of cases was in mid-November, which consistently saw 100 new cases per day per 100,000 population. Now, the county is recording two-thirds less than that, with about 34 new cases per day per 100,000 population in December.
So that's what's at risk. The progress that we've made can very quickly turn around when we put people in high-risk environments, which is really where you compress a lot of people in a small space.
Felton offered the same advice we've all been hearing for the past year to slow the spread. People must avoid large gatherings, wear masks, and wash their hands. He advised against attending large New Year's Eve parties and said if there is to be a holiday spike in cases, it will be seen around the second week of January. Billings area restaurants and bars have been operating at 50% capacity and forced to close at 10 p.m. since Felton issued a health officer order in November. At Stacked, a Montana grill in downtown Billings, owner Stephen Hindman said business hasn't been the best, but his employees are following the rules to keep the community safe. They even received a drop-in visit from the health department, which was happy with the restaurant's protocols.
You know, health department stopped by and thanked us for doing a good job just the other week, and that feels good. Still doesn't correct the situation, but we're trying to do the right things for the right reasons. And as we head into the New Year's Eve, we plan to do the same thing. Just keep doing what we're doing for our guests, for the public. For healthcare workers, for everybody that's, battling to stay on top of this, doing the right thing for the right reasons. There's never a wrong time for that.
In Billings, Mitch Legge, MTN News.
Thanks, Mitch. Of course, the hope is that COVID-19 will become much less prevalent once widespread vaccinations are carried out. Felton estimates it could be into the summer of 2021 before we get to that point. Meanwhile, after several weeks of Montana's COVID-19 numbers dropping, today a spike with 757 new cases and 10 new deaths since last night alone. Yellowstone and Bighorn counties saw 2 deaths each. Yellowstone County has now seen 162 people die from the virus, while Bighorn County has lost 63. The state's death toll now stands at 989. with the total number of cases sitting at more than 81,000. Governor Steve Bullock has released the updated COVID-19 vaccination distribution plan. Beginning in mid-January through March, vaccinations will be available for anyone 75 years or older, frontline essential workers and Native Americans as well. Starting in mid-March through July, vaccinations start for those 65 years and older or ages 16 to 64 at high risk due to underlying medical conditions. The final phase is expected to launch in late spring or early summer for all Montanans ages 16 and older. Nearly 17,000 frontline workers have already received the vaccine. Implementation of the plan is contingent on vaccine availability. With the updated plan in place, Yellowstone County's health officer is recommending that dental staff, physical therapists, optometrists, social workers, and pharmacists all be vaccinated for COVID-19. If that includes you, you can schedule an appointment through either St. Vincent Healthcare or Billings Clinic. Billings Clinic will hold a COVID-19 vaccination clinic tomorrow from 6 a.m. until noon, then again on Saturday from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. St. Vincent Healthcare is open next Monday through Friday with clinics from 7 until 11 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and 2 until 8 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. Well, getting results for your COVID-19 test could be quicker depending on where you go to get that test. In Yellowstone County, the wait time to get a result is as long as 7 days through the county health department. But as MTN's Andrea Lutz explains, there's a test with results ready in 24 hours, and it's free.
Say you're feeling a little under the weather. Immediately you think, could this be it? Do I have COVID?
You know, I don't think that we're quite done with this epidemic yet.
So you call into work, get tested, quarantine, and wait for those results to come back.
And that's had a big impact on a lot of people that need to travel, people that want to go see their families.
But in Billings, there's a faster way. Here at Yellowstone Pathology Institute, a private practice housed inside St. Vincent Healthcare, hundreds of COVID-19 test samples are coming in daily, with results going back out in hours.
Being that we are experienced in laboratory testing, that is our shtick, if you will, we said, why not? Why couldn't we try to do this right here locally?
Months back, when testing was limited because supply was at capacity, Yellowstone Pathology decided to build their own COVID-19 test.
Our test is a PCR-based test, so we're looking for the RNA in the virus.
Bonnie Flanagan works directly with the samples.
We are one of the first labs that was able to get the turnaround time that they needed.
These tests are considered the gold standard.
Right now, it has the highest performance characteristics that you see for tests on the market.
We just saw so much unmet need.
As Dr. Angela Durden explains, it's the waiting for results that's crippling for many.
You know, it's easy to send your test off and then, you know, suddenly you're waiting a week because, you know, once your sample arrives in some lab in North Carolina, they pretty much tell you get in line.
At first, these samples coming from doctors' offices, referrals, but the need in our community is so much greater.
I think this test was born partially out of frustration because, you know, the lack of testing impacted us as well. I mean, we also have a workforce in our laboratory, and we also have people that we have to look out for.
Allowing the test to help you and me as soon as sickness strikes.
I look at it as the light at the end of the tunnel.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Thanks, Andrea. The COVID-19 test at Yellowstone Pathology is covered by CARES Act dollars. Anyone can call them to get the 24-hour test, and soon the practice hopes to have a sample collection center at St. Vincent Healthcare. They say that should be coming in the next month or so. All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Bob, we haven't had a lot of snow around here lately. How is the snowpack looking so far?
We're finishing the year. I wonder, we had a good batch of snow in October, but not so much in November, December. So we thought we'd go up to the mountains and see how we're doing. It's time for our check of the Montana snowpack. And as you can see, we've got some areas in yellow. Those are the ones where we're not doing very well right now. They're in the southwest. They're at about 69 to 70%, in the 70% of normal. Then we got the green and the blue, and as you see, they're doing much better. But let me show you just the specifics of it. Upper Yellowstone drainage area, that's ours. That's 98% of average, which is not bad. Also, the Upper Clark Fork, that's at 91% of average. Now, a little farther up in the northwest corner of the state, Flathead, they're at 104% of average. And also the Sun Teton Marias Pass area, they're at 119% of average. So up in the north central part of the state, we're looking at a lot of snow up there, but back down here in our area, we're holding our own. But in the southwest, that's where it's really kind of dry. Back to you, Russ.
Thank you, Bob. 1 week from today, Congress meets to certify Joe Biden's election as president, but it does not appear it will be merely a formality. Today, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley announced he'll challenge Biden's victory in Pennsylvania and possibly other states. Now, it's unlikely to change anything, but will force both chambers to debate the results, possibly create even more chaos in what has already been a transition filled with it. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats continued their push for $2,000 stimulus checks. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell so far isn't budging, though, despite both President Trump and President-elect Biden supporting that measure. Well, the U-2 spy plane has been at the heart of U.S. intelligence efforts dating back to the 1950s. Tonight, in part 2 of his story, MTN's Jay Cohn talks with Livingston resident Ed Walby, a former U-2 pilot squadron commander.
And the rest is just kind of memorabilia.
Retired Air Force Colonel Ed Walby's basement is like a museum for America's notorious U-2 spy plane. Letters from Presidents Reagan, Ford, and Bush congratulating Walby on his distinguished career adorn the walls. Photographs and memorabilia document Walby's time with the U-2 program.
You literally feel like you're on top of the world. You can see the curvature of the earth. You can actually look up and it's real dark above you. You can see stars during the day.
Walby's the first to tell you that every flight in the U-2 is special. But included in his 1,000 hours in the cockpit, 2 of his missions stand out from the rest. In March of 1989, Walby was at the controls when the U-2 flew alongside the space shuttle during its launch. NASA wanted a closer look at what was damaging the shuttle's tiles.
I flew the first mission and shuttle goes zipping by. We're inside of 5 miles. And what we do is point the camera and just shoot as the shuttle goes to see if we could catch any debris.
But due to the shuttle's speed and flight path, Walby had to fly without autopilot. It's what happened next that Walby remembers the most.
As soon as the shuttle passed by, I looked up and I was about 60 degrees nose high, about 40 knots, which is about 40 miles an hour under my stall speed, and it was just hanging there, and it started to fall. And I said to myself, don't do anything. Whatever you do, it can't be right. And so I just let the airplane, slice through the horizon, fall, gather speed, lost about 4,000 feet, and the airplane regained speed. Had I done anything, I probably would have been at the bottom of the ocean with the camera.
One of Walby's proudest moments came in the early days of the Afghanistan war. As commander of the 99th Reconnaissance Squadron, its Global Hawk program, the U-2's drone counterpart, proved to be invaluable.
The Marines were trying to come up that valley, and the bad guys had lined the ridge and they were going to ambush our guys. We saw them through our infrared that these guys were there. We warned the Marines and they were able to get away, as well as we called in a gunship and we kind of, what's called, waxed them.
It was during the Battle of Tora Bora that for the first time the Global Hawk proved its mettle in a real-life combat scenario. Walby believes both the versatile U-2 and the unmanned Global Hawk have a role in helping the U.S. stay a step ahead in intelligence gathering. While the U-2 can put eyes in the sky pretty much anywhere, anytime, the Global Hawk can fly almost forever.
The unique part about Global Hawk, though, is it's computer controlled. You're not flying it with a joystick, you're just telling it where to go. And the computer takes off, flies, and you just give it direction. Or you can pre-program it to take any course you want. You can actually launch the airplane and walk away and it'll come back the next day.
In addition to his piloting skills, Walby is quite an artist.
It's just a hobby. I do paintings too.
His signed sketches of the famous spy plane are a hot item on eBay. And he loves to work on model airplanes. He made this model of the U-2 himself. As we wrapped up our discussion, I thanked Ed for his service, and he invited us back to reminisce another day. As he told me in a recent email, old pilots love to talk about themselves. We're thankful he chose to share his story with us. In Billings, I'm Jay Cohn reporting for MTN News.
Thanks, Jay. Great story. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, nutrition in America taking a major step forward this week. We'll explain in our Montana Ag Report. Then a little later in sports, the rise to stardom. Scott introduces us to our athlete of the week, who is packing quite a punch in the ring.